All right, it looks like everyone has joined that was pending. We know there'll be some others that will trickle in as we go, but we want to respect everyone's time. And we know that we've got people from all over the globe and multiple time zones joining us. So we'll kick it off. Again, welcome to our virtual open house meet and greet with the directors of the Penn Medicine Summer Program. We're excited to talk more about the program. We know students have lots of options for how they want to spend their summer, and we're really excited that you are interested in learning more about our program. So we will kick this off.
Hi, everyone. We will, as we go through this evening's presentation, if you have questions, we have you covered. Please direct message me in the Q&A section, and I will capture all questions at the end of the presentation, and we'll be sure to answer your questions, but we won't be answering in real time. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. Thanks so much.
Perfect. So for tonight, for our agenda, we want to welcome everyone and introduce ourselves to you. We want to go through the application timeline and the requirements, talk more about the academic curriculum and what you'll learn in this program, as well as what you'll experience through our residential experience and spending your summer in Philadelphia, and then also spend some time answering any questions that you may have. Perfect. So my name is Evan. I am our program director with Bold Summers. My role here is to support you all and the operations and Dr. Lipschick through Penn Perelman School of Medicine to make sure that you all have the most phenomenal summer experience possible. So you and your students will most likely hear from myself as we talk about different updates, whether or not it's for the application throughout the summer, and receive any updates about the experience. Perfect. Dr. Greg, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Lipschick. I'm a pulmonary critical care physician at the University of Pennsylvania and at the Veterans Hospital in Philadelphia. I have been the director of the program for the last, I think this might be our 11th year. I'd have to count back. And I really enjoy working with kids. It's one of the joys of my career over the last 30 or 40 years.
Hi, everyone. My name is Susan Gambesha, Director of Customer Engagement at ESF. ESF stands for Education, Sports, and Fun. We power the Bold Summers program, and I couldn't be more delighted to be with all of you this evening. I've been at ESF, I'm in my 18th year at ESF, and we have multiple locations throughout the United States. We partner with our Philadelphia Phillies, Philadelphia 76ers, to provide the best experience for our students and campers. And happy to be with you this evening.
Great. So first off, what everyone's probably thinking, is it too late to apply? Absolutely not. The application is still open. Applications are due next Thursday by 11:59. So it'll be a week from tomorrow that all application, including the supporting documentation, is due. So you have plenty of time to still start your application if you're interested in applying and participating, without feeling like you are rushed or it's too late. Once the applications are due, we're going to go ahead and assemble them, and we're going to pass them on to Penn Medicine for review. Our timeline is for decisions to be sent no later than Tuesday, April 2nd. It's possible they might come out earlier, but with all the holidays the last week of March, we want to be respectful to those that are observing and those that might be traveling. So we share no later than Tuesday, April 2nd. Once you receive your decision, you're going to have 10 days to either accept or decline your admission and then make your tuition payment. Once you have informed us of your decision to either accept it or possibly be on the wait list, or say, unfortunately, you're unable to join us, you'll then be sent a registration link where you'll go through and officially register for the program. We've been receiving hundreds of applications from all over the world, which is really exciting. One of the things that makes this program unique is it's not just students from the Philadelphia, New Jersey, Mid-Atlantic area. On the screen here, you can see all the different countries where we've received applications from thus far. And we're expecting to have a really diverse cohort of different backgrounds, different genders, different ages, different grades, and then from different countries and states, which really adds on to the experience to this program. So as you're filling out your application, or maybe you've already started and you just haven't actually submitted it, this is what goes into the actual application. There are going to be 3 short open-ended questions for us to get to know you a little bit better, as well as 1 essay to understand what you hope to gain by participating. Those may take, a little bit of time for you to really write out, let it simmer, reflect, make any edits. Which is why we always share students should really try to start their application within 3 to 5 days of when it's due. So that way you've got plenty of time to make some edits if needed. You're also going to need to upload a copy of your fall 2023 grades and your full transcript that shows that you've taken a high school biology course. You're going to need 2 recommendation letters. One must be from a STEM teacher that can speak to your academic rigor. And then we also allow students to submit a list of extracurricular and honors. So again, we can get to know you better. We're looking for, again, a diverse cohort that have different experiences, different backgrounds, different hobbies. We're not looking for a cohort of cookie cutter participants where everyone, has the same experiences. We want students to be able to learn not only from the faculty and the labs that you're going to participate, but from each other as well. That's one of the huge benefits of being a residential program. So through the application, that's how our admissions committee gets to know you a little bit better.
If I take over from here, Evan?
Yes, please. If you could talk more about the academic curriculum, that would be great.
So we've put together what we think, and we modify it every year somewhat, but what we think is an interesting, in some cases fascinating curriculum that involves both all 3 of experiences, lectures, and labs. The idea is to mimic first and second year medical students' experiences in medical school. And in fact, most of the experiences, lectures, and labs are taught by the same people who teach our medical students at Perelman University of Pennsylvania School of Medicine. So just to give you an example, and these are by no means all of the experiences, lectures, and labs, but just to give you an idea, the students watch live surgery with commentary from a surgeon. They actually are able to speak to the surgeon as he is operating and ask questions. Last year, they saw a resection of a breast tumor and actually got feedback on the tumor from the patient and from the surgeon a couple of days after the surgery. They also have an opportunity to get certified in CPR. They will visit hospital dialysis units, clinical labs at the hospital, and if we're lucky, they'll visit morgues. Or actually, I can say that they will visit a morgue. They may or may not see an autopsy, which is something they really enjoy. We did a couple of years, last year we did, and the year before we did get to see parts of an autopsy. The students will learn ultrasound, they will use themselves and their friends and colleagues to learn to do ultrasound. They will visit ICUs and emergency departments at the Penn hospitals, including the Veterans Hospital, Presbyterian Hospital, and the University Hospital itself. For lectures, and again, this is just a selection of the kind of lectures we have there. The way the lectures are set up, the first year is very basic lectures, and so the first week is very basic lectures on a variety of topics, including history and physical diagnosis. The second week, and this is where most of this comes from, is devoted to both surgery and psychiatry. And during that week, the students will have lectures on sports medicine from the director of sports medicine at Penn, who is actually the team doctor for the 76ers, as well as for the University of Pennsylvania teams. They have a lecture on trauma surgery from the chief of trauma surgery at Penn. They have a lecture on plastic surgery from a plastic surgeon at Penn. They have 2 lectures on psychiatry, one of which is an introduction to psychiatry, a sort of overview of psychiatry by the same person who teaches the medical students, who does that same lecture for the medical students. And then they have a lecture on COVID-19 by our local expert on COVID-19. They also, in the afternoons, the lectures are mostly in the mornings. The experiences in the labs take up the afternoons. This is just an example of the type of labs that they do. They have 2 gross anatomy labs. They go to the same labs that our medical students do. They use the same cadavers as our medical students do. They love it, and the occasional student who passes out, notwithstanding, it's still a worthwhile activity. They really enjoy it. They do a lab on urinalysis. They do 2 labs on pathology and infections and infectious pathology. They have a lab where they suture, actually learn to suture. And then they have a 3-hour lab learning first aid. We are not actually able to certify them in first aid, but they do have quite an extensive exposure to first aid. And a few of them have gone on ahead to become certified in first aid. And again, this is just a bit of a cross-section of their experiences, lectures, and labs. There are many more of each of these in the program.
Yeah, it's amazing. Every time Dr. Greg speaks about the program and the curriculum, I become more and more impressed and start to question why I didn't go to med school. And then I hear they watch a surgery and visit a morgue, and it reaffirms why I did not go to med school. But yeah, thank you so much for sharing about that. The curriculum and the academic experience is such a huge part of this program, but so is the residential experience. So again, we showed earlier that we get applicants from all over the world. While they're mimicking med school, we also want them to get a taste of university life and what it's like to go to college, to get an idea of, do they want to go to a small liberal arts college? Are they looking to live in a city, to really help them understand what it's like to be a college student? So all the participants will live, eat, and learn at the University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. We will live in one of the residence halls. We will eat in one of our dining halls, as well as the many food establishments around the university. Our students are going to gain mentors and build relationships with our residential staff from around the world. So we hire both professionals and college students from the States and international who will act as our residential counselors. They come in a week and a half earlier than the students for a training to go through how do we care and support for our students while they're in the program. The students are going to have lots of community building and entertainment activities while they're there. So of course, while we want them learning and talking about what they learned, we also want them to be able to relax and build friendships. So we provide different opportunities for that to happen, such as game nights, sports, karaoke, bowling, and more. That will be planned by our residential staff. And then also many of our participants aren't from the Philadelphia or Mid-Atlantic area. So we like to explore the East Coast over the weekend. We really want them to be able to immerse themselves in the Philadelphia and East Coast experience. So we'll do different day trips, such as visit Hershey Park, go down to Ocean City, New Jersey, New York City, visit Washington, D.C., and a few other trips throughout the weeks. Additionally, Philadelphia is our home. Again, this is where they're going to be living, eating, and learning. And we want them to be able to visit and enjoy as much as Philadelphia for the 4 weeks that they're here. So some of the highlights that will happen is we'll spend the 4th of July down in Independence Hall, which is really excited. They'll be able to see the Liberty Bell. They'll be able to watch the parades. They do lots of reenactments. We'll visit some of the major establishments such as the Philadelphia Zoo, Art Museum, and Spruce Street Harbor, as well as some other local museums. Students will be able to get a cheesesteak and soft pretzels and eat Wawa. We take the whole group down to Citizens Bank Park to watch the Philadelphia Phillies, which is really exciting, as well as visit the King of Prussia Mall, which is the 3rd largest mall in the US.
Okay, at this time, what we're going to do is many of you submitted questions prior to this evening's presentation. So we are going to answer those questions that were submitted earlier or previous to this evening. And then we will cover any questions that came through during this evening's presentation. I'm going to kick off the questions, and Evan and Dr. Lipschitz will answer the questions as appropriate, starting with the application process. And thank you so much for submitting these questions ahead of time. It really does help us stay on track with the presentation this evening as well. So regarding the application process, Evan, is submitting the PSAT scores optional? ELA scores acceptable for proof of proficiency in English is our first question.
Yeah, so we don't require the PSAT, the ELA, or the TOEFL scores. We do expect that all students have a professional understanding of English, so that way they can keep up with the lectures and the activities, but we do not require any official test scores that judge your English proficiency. Again, the only required scores are your fall 2023 grades and a copy of your full transcript that shows your high school biology grade.
Great, thank you. Another application question. How will I know if my application is complete?
Yeah, and that's a great question. So within your portal, you'll see there are lots of checkboxes that you have to complete, such as submitting your essay question, answering those 3 short answers, uploading your grades, uploading your extracurriculars. Once you have done all of that, your boxes or in the portal are going to change from incomplete to complete. Additionally, once a week, you're going to get an email from me that is going to tell you whether or not your application is fully complete or not. Because the one thing the portal does not show you is whether your teachers have submitted their recommendation letters. So while it'll show that you put in which teachers should be submitting, it doesn't show whether or not they actually did. So we will send you an email once a week. We'll probably ramp it up starting early next week to let you know whether your application is complete or what you are missing.
Great, thank you. And if someone starts their application process today, is there enough time to complete it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we've been seeing that it takes about 3 days for an application to become complete. It could certainly be quicker depending on how quickly your teachers submit the recommendation letters. But if you were to start it today, and we did put the QR code on the screen as well as it's been emailed out, you absolutely could complete it with enough time.
Great. And just staying along the application questions here, one was just submitted this evening. How many typical number of total applications are received each year? And how many positions are available? That's
Sure.
part one of this question. And then is there a separate quota for juniors and seniors?
Yeah, great question. So this cohort will be made up of 110 students. That's the max that we can accept. We're anticipating between 250 and 300 applications. It always ranges and varies year to year, but we will accept 110 students, and we do try to balance it out. So we don't have a quota per se, but we don't want a cohort that is senior heavy or junior heavy, male identifying or female identifying heavy. So we do try to balance it out. Again, we also look at geography. Where are people from? We don't want a cohort that is maybe 30% from New Jersey and then maybe one person is from California. We do try to balance it out as well. But we do have, like I said, a maximum of 110.
Great, thank you. Now we're going to move to several questions, more than several came through on the academic side. So Dr. Lipschick, I'm going to just go through these questions. First one is, are there any hands-on research opportunities in this program?
So this is not a research program. There are research programs through the university for kids to do hands-on research. Having said that, the students will tour research labs, including the lab where mRNA vaccines were invented here at Penn. And over the years, several of the students have reached out to the researchers they've met on those tours and have arranged for to do hands-on internships in those labs. But again, that's not a part of the program. That's not the aim of the program or really a part of the program, although occasionally, as I mentioned, it has happened. And it's happened because the students themselves have reached out, and the researchers were open to that kind of those kind of inquiries. So the quick answer is no, there is no hands-on research component as part of the program.
Great, thank you. I know we covered during the presentation what the students will be doing, but will there be a day-to-day curriculum that they follow?
Yes, there's a very detailed, extensive schedule. I don't have a complete version of it yet, but Evan has a tentative version, which I think he's going to make available sometime soon. So if anybody wanted to see the kinds of things that we do, it wouldn't be on the exact day on the current version of the schedule, but you'll see all the different opportunities, lectures, experiences, labs that are available. Yes, there is a very detailed daily schedule.
Great, thank you. Another great question. So what makes the Penn Medicine Summer Program a valuable experience? What would you say maybe the number one, if you can extract a number one, what would that be as far as the valuable experience and takeaways that these students would get?
I saw this question and it really made me think. It's a very good question. I'm going to say, and I think this is I've actually looked at other programs around the country, and I think our students just get to do more stuff. It's not just lectures, it's not just labs, it's really hands-on learning to do things. In fact, some of the medical students that are involved in the program, I can tell you about that a little bit later, have told me that many of the things the students do, the high school kids do, they haven't done yet. So they really enjoy it. And I think that's really probably the single most special part of our program. The great variety of things the students get exposed to and actually get to do hands-on.
Wonderful, thank you. A couple more here. Is the program more geared towards those who want to discover an interest in medicine or those who already have a passion?
That's a fascinating question. I told my wife that this question was coming, and we were talking about it right before I got on. It really made me think, and I think that the aim of the program is actually to show students the value and the wonder of a career in medicine. That is just the satisfaction available, the fascination of a career in medicine, the fun of a career in medicine. So if I'm to translate that into what the substance of the question is, I think both types of students would see value in it. I think students who are interested but not quite sure would really enjoy the program. And I think that students who are committed to a career in medicine but may not know what exactly they want to do or what's available in medicine, I think they'd get quite a lot out of it too. So if I had to answer, I'd say equally. And the real value of the program is that it really demonstrates what's available, what's fun, what's wonderful about a career in medicine.
Great, thank you. And who will be teaching the lectures and the labs?
So the lectures are given by medical school faculty. Again, the same faculty who lecture to the medical students. And these range from chairs of departments, for example, in cardiac surgery, the chair of the department gives a lecture, to some residents and fellows and associate professors. So there's quite a variety, but again, they are the same people who lecture to the medical students. Most of the labs are run by similar people. That is, that we will have, for example, an OB/GYN or a surgical attending come in and teach suturing, but the actual hands-on, we can't have as many preceptors or instructors as we do students. So the actual hands-on teaching is given by medical students. We have a cohort of 10 to 12 medical students. Your students, the high school kids, are divided into groups of 10 or 12, and each group has a medical student teaching assistant who does much of the hands-on teaching, but underneath the preceptorship of a faculty member. So again, a combination of medical students and medical school faculty and a smattering of interns, residents, and fellows from the university, from the hospital.
Great, thank you so much. The next several questions are related to the residential life. Evan, I'll start with you. If you could help with some of these questions. How are the roommates assigned, and where will individuals live? Where will the students live, and how are roommates assigned?
Yeah, that's a great question. And we have not been told yet from Penn which hall we're going to be assigned to. I actually spoke with them earlier today. They are actively working on their camps and conferences schedule. They have more than 4,000 individuals that live on campus over the course of their summer, over 200 different programs. So we won't find out until late March, early April of which hall that we're assigned to. Once we're told, we'll let all of our registered participants know right away, because that'll really kind of decide about the roommates. So last year we were in a building that was suite style. So it had 3 to 5 individual bedrooms within a shared unit. Previously, we were in a building that were larger doubles. So students had direct roommates. If students have friends or know of others that are applying to the program, and especially if you're all accepted together, we're absolutely happy to work with anyone who has roommate requests. Otherwise, we'll reach out with instructions once we know what building we're assigned to and what the layout is.
Great, thank you. And this is contingent also, but where will students eat is another good question.
Yeah, so students will have a mixture of meals in the dining hall. Again, Penn will assign us one of the many dining halls that they have on campus, but they'll also be given cash stipends for certain meals, especially lunches during the week. So that way they can choose what they want to eat and really diversify their options in between the classes while they're over at Penn Medicine. So they'll have a mixture of, again, eating in the dining hall, as well as visiting the many different eating options throughout the campus.
Great, thank you. Next question. This was partially answered through the presentation related to what students do on the weekends was covered. What about a little bit more on the evenings? What do students do in the evening during the weeks?
Yeah, so during the week, our RA team will be planning a variety of different programs to keep the students entertained and create different opportunities for them to make friends. So that way they're not just sitting in their rooms by themselves. Again, on the weekends, we do full day trips on Saturdays, and then Sundays, we do half day trips in the Philadelphia area. For the first week and a half, we require all of our programming for students to attend. We want to make sure that students are acquainting themselves with the campus, meeting others. As the program progresses, we do start to make some of the programs more optional. So maybe the students don't want to participate in karaoke that night because they want to focus on their studies, or maybe they want to hang out and do their own thing. We do, like I said, make everything required for the first week and a half. And then afterwards, they'll be given a schedule of programming and said which ones are required for them to engage in and which ones are more optional.
Great, thank you. And then one parent asked, who is caring for my student?
Yeah, well, as you can see right here, you have three lovely people who are all dedicated to the success of the program and your students that are participating. While on the site, we do have a 1 to 10 ratio of our residential staff. So we will have 11 RAs as well as one residential director who will manage the program. What's exciting is 8 out of our 11 or 12 staff are returning from years past. And of those 8, 3 of them have been with us for several years. Again, our staff come back about a week and a half early, and we do a really intensive training on meeting the needs of high school students, really going through how to care and support for your student. We do mixers with the TAs and Dr. Greg's team as well, because we want to make sure that your students are feeling safe, that they belong, and they're getting the most out of this experience.
Great, thank you. So we've covered all of the pre-submitted questions, and I'm just going to go back quickly to, there were several questions that came through this evening. We just want to make sure that we cover them. A few of them all related to the cost of the program, so I'll couple them together if that's okay. And then the last one is related directly to how many times you can participate in this program. So is there a cap or a limit would be the first question, if you could help us answer that.
Yeah, I would say so. The program's only open to current 10th and 11th graders, so you would only be able to apply twice. Dr. Gray, I don't think we've ever had anyone apply for a second round if they got in, during their 10th grade year, to my knowledge. Are you aware of anyone?
No, no, we actually have accepted, especially foreign students who are somewhat older. We've accepted, I'm trying to remember, at least half a dozen over the years, 12th graders or the equivalent of 12th graders from foreign schools, because the educational system is a little bit different there. But no, we haven't had people apply and actually attend more than once. I don't see why they couldn't, except that they would have seen everything, but it does change a bit from year to year.
Great, thanks for clarifying. And then the few that are left are really related to fees and costs. So first is the cost of the program.
Sure. So the cost for this summer is $10,495 for the 4-week residential program. That includes the cost of housing, most of the meals, all of your trips and activities, the academic tuition, and any lab supplies are all included within that cost.
Okay, and then are the tuition costs lowered in any way if you don't stay on campus?
We only offer a residential experience. We don't offer a commuter option.
Great, thanks so much. I figured that, but I want to make sure you answered that. Okay, great, thank you. And then one last one, I believe, is related to the fee waiver. Any fee waiver for application, and is there any scholarship for this program?
Sure. So our deadline to request financial assistance was this past Friday. What I would say is if you want to send us an email, I'm happy to connect with you one-on-one to discuss any opportunities. And I'll put my email in the chat. If you could go ahead and just send me an email, let's find time to talk this week. And I'd love to see what we might be able to do for you.
One thing I would say is that we have had scholarship students every year. We've had partial and full scholarship students, I think, since we started. I don't know the actual numbers. I'm not sure if you do have, but we certainly do have quite a few scholarship students every year.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to make sure that cost is not a barrier for our accepted students. So yeah, please email me if you have any questions, and I'm happy to connect with you to talk through that.
Great, thank you. I know we want to be respectful of time, but we have just two quick questions. If we could get these in quickly. Does participation in this program give any weight to future admission?
Are you asking about
I think that's related to Penn. Like what percent of students from Bold Summer end up at Penn, University of Pennsylvania? And then also, does participation in this program give any weight to future admission to University of Penn?
I don't know the answer to your question about how many students from both summers have ended up at Penn. Certainly there have been some. We're beginning, we've been doing the program long enough that we're beginning to see students matriculating at medical schools, which is really kind of fascinating. I don't have numbers. I just can't answer. Whether it gives weight to admission decisions, I hope so. I'm not on the admissions committee at Penn. The dean of admissions speaks to the students. He's one of the speakers in the dean of undergraduate admissions is speaks to the students in the last week of the program. He feels that it's a valuable program and that it helps the students in their applications. But I'm not on the admissions committee for the undergraduates, so I can't answer that question. I just don't know.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. These are all great questions. I think everyone did a great job submitting their questions early and wonderful questions coming through this evening. I would say at this time that wraps up all the questions for this evening. Evan's email was submitted in the chat. We'll give 30 seconds for everyone to grab that. And I also responded with Evan's email to an individual who wanted it specifically. So please feel free after this presentation to email Evan. He'll be your point of contact on all questions. And Evan, I'll kick it back over to you to close.
Yeah, again, thank you all for your phenomenal questions. We're hoping that we've answered everything and gave you a little bit more insight into the program, especially the academic component, the residential component, and everything that you'll get to enjoy while in Philadelphia. This is such a special program. Again, you heard it straight from Dr. Gregg's mouth, right? You are all learning from faculty that medical students are learning from. And that's not something that you see at all programs, which is why we're so proud of all of the accomplishments from our alumni. Someone had asked earlier about, do they go to Penn? We're actually in the process of reaching out to our alum to see where did they land. UPenn at the Perelman School of Medicine recently did a focus on a first-year med student who was a Bold Summers Penn Med student a few years back. I guess it's been 6 years now. We'll make sure we put that article in the recap email that you'll all get with a copy of this recording. That student speaks so highly of the program and how it prepared them for med school. And we really hope to see your application come through. Again, once you start it in the portal, we'll have access to it to make sure that you're on track and that you're submitting everything and that we can follow up if anything is missing or we need anything resubmitted. We're here to support you through this journey. Perfect. Well, we hope everyone has a great night. And if anything else comes up, as Susan mentioned, please don't hesitate to reach out. And we're looking forward to connecting with you soon.